Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you in this online lesson. And this lesson is meant for 1A, 1B and 1D. And the topic of today will be about smelling and tasting. As you see, I have opened our books online, but first let me tell you something about why we do it this way. Well, I found out that online meetings are not really my thing. I find it very hard to talk to a black screen when everyone turns off their camera, or I find it very hard to focus when something happens, when someone wants to join the room or leave it. So yeah, I found out that when I pre-record my lesson, it's called a flip the classroom, and I use that time that we have in online meetings to ask questions to each other. I think that will work a lot better. Well, okay. So the benefit of having a video like this is that you can pause it and rewind it, pause it and rewind it, or and watch it as many times as you want. Right. Okay. So I'll send a link to the Prezi in the description of this video, and I will ask you, of course, to fill out the forms. Please do it, because not so many have done it yet. All right. So ask your questions afterwards in the team meetings. You can try and ask questions in the comments here, but I don't know. I'm not really sure if I'm going to see it or not. Well, okay, let's start. So until now, we're talking about the brain, about impulses, remember, the skin, about your eyes and your ears. Well, there's also two more senses that I'd like to cover, which are smelling and tasting. Smelling you do with your nose and tasting with your tongue. Okay, so you have those senses mainly to warn you for dangerous smells like fire or gases or rotten food around you. So you don't take it into your body, or you not get poisoned by it. Okay, so smelling is really old. It's one of the first memories you have. Some people say you can even smell inside your mother's womb. You probably know what your dad's t-shirt or pillow smells like. You probably also know what it smells like at your grandparents' home or in your own bedroom. Um, so those smells are really important memories for you. Smelling and tasting is very closely related. If we zoom in on this figure here, you can see that there is an open connection between your throat and your nose. Of course you know that, because you can breathe in through your nose and even breathe out without even opening your mouth, and you also know you can breathe in through your mouth. Well, so this open connection is of major importance in smelling and tasting. And you could say there are two connected cavities. Um, in that way, if you eat something and you put something in your mouth, some taste buds in your tongue will be activated, and some of the aromatic substances will travel through your throat all the way up to your sense of smell, up here. Right. Okay, so we go to that tongue. The tongue has taste buds, and those taste buds are really tiny buds on your tongue, and between those taste buds are the sensory cells. Adult people have around 5,000 taste buds, and children about your age or even a bit younger, you have around 10,000 of them. So you're better in tasting with your tongue. So it's expected that there are foods that you don't like, where your parents say, well, what's there not to like? It's just normal food. Why don't you like that? That's because children's tongues, they are more focused on having those creamy and having those sweet tastes. And they don't like the bitter taste, not at all. That's why you don't like the bitter tastes younger in your life. Later on, when the sensory cells are replaced and diminished, when you only have 5,000 left, you might even enjoy bitter tastes, like I do right now. All right, so your tongue is able to register 5 different flavors, 5 different tastes. And those 5 different flavors are sweet, so from sugar, salt, bitter, and they also are able to register umami, and umami is a Japanese translation of, yeah, they call it delicious. Well, uh, if I smell it, it's not delicious at all, but it's in ripened tomatoes, it is in meat, it is in cheese, it is in potato chips. Actually, it's a taste enhancer as well. And they put a lot of umami on, for example, on Pringles chips. That's why they're so tasty. And the fifth one is sour. You can sense sour with your tongue. Okay, so it's only 5 tastes, and that's not so much. And you know that if your nose is blocked when you have a cold, you know that you can't taste that much because the most taste comes actually from your nose. And so those substances, those aromatic substances, travel all the way up to your nose, and there is where the magic happens. Inside your nose, there is something called the olfactory membrane, and the olfactory membrane has all kinds of sensory receptor cells. If you can see here, let's zoom in a bit on these two figures. And the aromatic particles, they bind themselves to the receptors. And if they bind themselves to the receptors, then the receptor cells, they fire off. They generate an impulse out of that stimulus. And that impulse is then, from those various types of cells, is bundled into a sensory nerve. And the sensory nerve hits your brain, where it arrives in a sensory cortex. And then you're going to think about it using your interneurons. And then maybe something is going to happen because the impulse is sent to a motor cortex, which is sent to one of your glands or one of your muscles, and you're going to do something. And you have a lot more sensory receptor cells, different ones, than you have taste buds. Taste buds, they only come in 5 varieties. Remember, sweet, bitter, salt, sour, and umami, that really strange one, where the sensory olfactory, so the nose receptor cells, they come in more than 10,000 types. Okay, and those 10,000 types, they can combine up to millions of different kinds of taste nuances and smell and scents. And all those scents in your nose, if you can see it, right? Your nose is really close to your brain, and they're stored as memories directly. So that's why you have such vivid memories of a smell. So every time you come up with a new smell, it's stored as a memory. All right. So there's maybe one kind of a taste we forgot. What about, you might ask yourself, what about the taste of spiciness? Well, spiciness actually is not a taste that you taste with your taste buds, but it's a taste that you taste with your pain receptors. So spicy is actually pain in your mouth. Okay, so you experience like, ooh, that's hot. Oh, it's so spicy, the food. Let me have something to cool it down. If you want to cool it down, drink something that has a lot of oils in it, like milk or peanuts with some sugar. No water, because then you just spread it over all the other pain receptors in your mouth. And that's the way you can cool it down. But it's actually triggering the pain receptors. And if you eat a lot of spicy food, then all those senses are a little bit deafened, so they can't give more impulses. So then you have no taste at all anymore. Normally, people in the Netherlands, they can't stand spicy tasting food so well. But you can train yourself if you want to. All right. So to wrap it up, there's 2 senses we talked about today. The first one is the tongue, and the second one is your nose. And you use them together to warn your body about what's in your food or what's happening around you. And you taste your food with your tongue and your sensory buds in your tongue. There are 5 different tastes. And in your nose, the aromatic substances are connected to the olfactory cells, which sends an impulse through a sensory nerve to the brain, where you become aware of what scent it is. And new memories of a new sense are stored as new memories. All right. So in the description, you'll find the link to the Prezi, because in the Prezi there are 2 clips, 2 films, which are rather funny and also really interesting. And you also find there which kind of exercise you have to do. And also in that same Prezi, there is the link to the form. Well, to show you, this is what the slide looks like. So you're looking for slide 45 and on. Right. Okay. So, yeah, with this message, I'd like to end this recording. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. And I hope to see you soon in one of our online meetings. Thanks, and bye-bye.